Happy Friday. Welcome back in here on WQAM. Hollywood Omar Kelly, Dan Day along with you. We're going to head back out to the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. Shop over 2,000 Toyotas on sale. One location, Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. ToyotaofHollywood.com, where we are joined by Anthony Chiang. He is the Miami Heat reporter for the Miami Herald. Anthony, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're great. We are great, and we have spent a lot of time this week trying to figure out how the Heat can get a deal done for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know you have recently written about this in the Miami Herald, when the timeline could be for this, how this deal could work. What are your thoughts here as far as, first off, can the Heat get a deal done with Giannis and perhaps not include Bam?
I think it's possible. I think it's going to depend on what the rest of the trade landscape looks like, right? It's going to depend on the competition the Heat has for Giannis, obviously. Right? Like, what does Orlando do with their coaching change? They were said to be interested in Giannis at the trade deadline. Do they make an offer and possibly offer him Paolo? Like, that changes things. What does Houston do? What if the Knicks lose in the Eastern Conference Finals? Do they aggressively try to pursue Giannis? Those are all huge factors. But yeah, I think the Heat have an intriguing, is it an incredible package for Giannis? No, but it's a good combination of young players. When you talk about Kalel, Jaime, just all the young guys having their roster they could include in a trade, plus the picks. Now they have 3 picks they can include when you talk about making a pick for Milwaukee this year. That's a 3rd pick now you could offer to Milwaukee. So you have a pretty good combination of young players, with high upside, like Kalel, and 3 first-round picks, a good amount, for a player like Giannis. So we'll see, right? There are teams out there that could offer more if they wanted to, but the question is how interested are they going to be in trading for a 31-year-old Giannis who has some injuries lately? And what will Giannis want to do, right? Because he's kind of on an expiring contract. He has a player option next year. Is he going to dictate? Is he going to try to force his way to one team? That would obviously help the Heat if he says, I want to go to Miami. So there's a lot of factors at play, and we're just going to have to see how it plays out.
Anthony, you're around the team every day. I know that you see the fan reaction. I know people are kind of things have gotten a little stale with this team, right? How do they feel about it over there in downtown Miami at the Kaseya Center and those front offices? Are they kind of, the same boat where they feel like we need to mix this thing up? Like, if it's not Giannis, it has to be someone else. Like, this is not going to be a run it back situation that they try to sugarcoat as like, and last year was like, oh, we got rid of the Jimmy Butler cloud and now everything's good. And like, they do need to shake things up, right? I think everyone's in agreement.
I think they obviously know they need to get better, right? 4 straight play-in tournament appearances, 2 straight years in 10th place in the East. How could you argue against that? They need to get better. They need to upgrade the roster. But I'm not going to say they won't run it back, because we've done this before, right? In the offseason, we're like, there's no way they're going to bring back this core, and they do. They don't believe in making change just to shake things up. They wanted to translate to an upgrade in talent. So I don't think they're just going to make a lot of movement. Especially, look, if they don't get Giannis this offseason or another star, they're trying to preserve their cap space for 2027. I know fans don't want to hear that because we talked about 2026 with cap space, and I get that.
Yeah, we're getting older.
Pat, exactly, I know. Yeah, Pat made that clear. Like, Pat Riley made that clear that 2027 cap space, they like that flexibility. I don't think they're going to make a trade just to get incrementally better. That's going to take away cap space in 2027. So they're going to go after Giannis. They're going to go after any other star who becomes available. Donovan Mitchell doesn't sign his extension, and he's available. They're going to have Donovan Mitchell. Any star that you see come on the market, they're going to go after. But if they don't get any of those guys, I would not be surprised if they wait until 2027 and keep that flexibility. So I think they know they need to upgrade the roster, but they're not going to just make a change to make a change when it's not going to make them significantly better.
Anthony, let me ask you about this whole perception that Bam is untouchable. And I know that's something that Pat Riley says. When you basically want to improve somebody's market, you basically say they're untouchable. Do you think that the Bucks would be interested in a deal, or if inclusion of Bam would sweeten a deal? And would you include Bam if it meant you got Giannis?
That's a good question, Omar. You're good at this. You're good at this asking question stuff. I think I don't think they're offering Bam. I'd be very shocked if they offer Bam for Giannis. So I think that's pretty much a non-starter. I don't think they're going to do that.
It's not about the offer. It should be about what the Bucks want. And if I'm the Bucks, I would want Bam.
Of course. But if the Heat, I mean, this was a conversation years ago when the Heat tried to get Donovan Mitchell from the Jazz, and the Jazz says, well, we'll do it, but you have to include Bam. And you're like, no. And then that went nowhere, obviously. And I think it would kind of be the same thing. If the Bucks are going to be like, well, we're not doing it unless you include Bam, I don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
I think it's over. Yeah. I mean, is Bam, look, I laugh at the term untouchable because nobody is truly untouchable, right? Like everybody has a price, even the best players in the league. If you offer 10 first-round picks and 2 All-Stars for Wemby, I mean, Spurs might consider it, right? But and the same thing for Bam. Like Pat said, if you offer Wembanyama and 8 first-round picks, they're probably trading Bam. So there's a price, but I don't think they're going to trade Bam for Giannis, especially at Giannis's age and the injury concerns. What does that really do, right? Like, what are you really doing if you just have Giannis and, a bunch of young guys around him? You're pretty much the Bucks of Miami. So I think it's a non-starter. I don't think Bam is going to be in any potential trade for Giannis.
I also think Riley doesn't get up there and like posture and try to like improve a guy's value by saying he's not going to trade. Like I think Riley is telling the truth. Like I don't think he plays games. I truly believe he does not want to trade Bam Adebayo and won't trade Bam Adebayo. Right.
I agree. No, I agree. I think they truly see Bam as, yes, he's never made an All-NBA team, and I get that. And I know some people laugh at this, say he's untouchable, but he's kind of the face of the franchise right now, and I think it's going to take a probably a top 5, top 10 player for the Heat to even consider trading Bam. And a top 5, top 10 player in his prime, right in his prime. Not, a 31 going to turn 32 in a few months, and it's coming off a bunch of calf injuries and hasn't played, has missed a bunch of time lately. So I think it would take a all NBA talent in his prime for the Heat to even consider trading Bam. I just don't see it. I think Bam, we know the Heat, right? They always like to have one guy on the roster, whether it's Dwayne Wade or Udonis Haslem, that's kind of like just been there for the entire time and is the leader. He's the captain.
Culture setter.
He kind of sets the tone for everything. Culture, exactly. And Bam is that. And he's a very good player. He's one of the best defenders in the league. I would argue he's top 3 probably defensive players in the league. And offensively, he scored 82 points, right? I'm not saying he's the best offensive player in the NBA, but he averages 20 points a game consistently. So he's above average offensive player. So, I think he's a top 20, top 25 player in the league. So, I don't think for Giannis, he won't be part of that conversation.
I want to ask you about another superstar. Obviously, his light doesn't shine as brightly now, but I still have some belief that the Heat, who have been great at reclamation projects over the last 20 years, can get a Ja Morant and transform him and get him on the straight and narrow and maximize that player. Do you think that they have a level of interest in Ja still?
I can only say what I'm talking to people around the trade deadline in February when that was a possibility. The level of interest at that point was very low. They weren't interested. They really didn't even aggressively pursue Ja Morant, which is kind of surprising because, like you said, Omar, they have a history of these reclamation projects and kind of, buying low and turning that, helping turn that player's career around. He has obviously has a lot of talent, but they were not that interested at that point. Not only because off the court stuff, but also they like, he's defensively, right? He's a smaller guard. They already have that on the roster. How is that going to work? He's not a good shooter. So I think there was some concerns about fit as well. I'm not saying maybe that changes in the offseason. I don't know. I haven't heard one way or the other, but I know around the trade deadline when that was a possibility, there was not much interest there.
Anthony, I want to ask you about LeBron James, and we know that he does these one-year deals, so he's available. Our texter here, Bob, yesterday suggested that Dwayne Wade come out of retirement, bring LeBron back to Miami, and go for one more run. Do you believe that LeBron either retires, stays in L.A., or goes somewhere else?
Another good question. I think he stays in LA. But I think if he goes anywhere, this is just my guess. This is just me, guessing.
Yeah.
I think Cleveland makes sense, right? Just to kind of tie the bow on the entire Hall of Fame legendary career. Going back home, going to the, I know he's played for 3 different teams now, but the team that he's going to forever be associated with is Cleveland, right? He got drafted by there. He's from there. He won that historic title for Cleveland there. So I think going back to Cleveland would make sense. But if not, I kind of think he just stays in LA.
And then we got a couple of games tonight that I want to get your thoughts on. I'm having a tough time picking these games here this evening. We got the Cavs and the Pistons. Cleveland up 3-2 in that series. Detroit melts down late. Do they have what it takes to go and win this game tonight on the road at Cleveland with the Cavs trying to close this thing out? Do we get a James Harden clunker in this game here, and the Pistons bring it back for a game 7? How do you see that one shaking out?
I think Cleveland wins, but both these teams are flawed, right? I think this series kind of shows you like what Pat Riley and the rest of the front office kind of is signaling to everybody of like, we feel like if we can get Giannis, even though maybe we don't match up with OKC and San Antonio, this East, it's a wide open East, right? We've seen that this series. I know the Knicks have looked very good. Even the Knicks, they're not OKC. But yeah, I think I would pick Cleveland at home. I think they have the better overall roster, especially when we don't know what Duncan Robinson's status, but he's important for Detroit, right? He missed last game. He's their best 3-point shooter. He helps space the floor. They really don't have a lot of 3-point shooting on that team. So if Duncan Robinson can't go, especially, I think Cleveland ends it tonight.
And then how about the Wolves? Do they have a shot here against the Spurs? San Antonio is tough. And I'll tell you that series against OKC, that wouldn't be I don't think that would be another sweep for the Thunder, I'll put it that way. But can they close this thing out tonight in Minnesota?
I'm never going to go against Anthony Edwards.
Yeah,
I love Anthony Edwards. He's my favorite player to watch in the league. But yeah, I mean, San Antonio's, they're great overall. The team, Wemby, how could you pick against Wemby, right? But I think that's going to be a very competitive game. Obviously in Minnesota, I would not be surprised if Minnesota wins and forces the game 7. But at the end of the day, Wemby's greatness, it might just be too much to overcome. So we'll see. I think that'll be a really good game.
Does he get overlooked, Anthony Edwards, because he's in Minnesota? Because I'm with you, by the way. I think he's the best of all the young players in the league. I think he's the best.
Yeah, he's obviously talented. He's very good. He's just fun to watch, entertaining to watch. His style, right? He seems to come alive in the big moments as well. Sometimes I do feel like he gets overlooked, especially when you talk about Wemby and SGA. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. But I think these games like tonight kind of remind people of his greatness.
Well, Anthony, thank you for taking the time with us this morning. Great stuff. And make sure to check out Anthony's work along with Omar's work in the Miami Herald. Anthony, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Anthony Chiang joining us here on QAM. A lot of stuff there to digest from that conversation there, Omar. Listen, I got to tell you, and I know we've discussed this, I think you have to take Pat Riley at face value. They are not looking to move Bam Adebayo.
I don't see looking to move.
I don't see a scenario where they include him. I think the Heat are stubborn when it comes to these things. First off,
you can be stubborn.
I just don't see it.
You can be stubborn, but you could also shoot yourself in the foot. While I love Bam, I just don't see him as a guy that is going to transform this franchise, whereas Giannis is. And I feel like the Heat could start rebuilding. If you give up Bam, you will have enough pieces to build this thing back around Giannis. It might not be immediate, but who's to say that Giannis and Bam make a great combination that's going to lead you to the Eastern Conference Finals anyway?
Well, it very well may not, Omar, but the Heat, one thing I will tell you, and I know Anthony said that they're not going to shake things up just to shake things up, but yeah, they need to, it's time, man. It is time to bring someone in who can at least hopefully get you out of this mediocrity stint that you've been in here.
I'm a big believer in Ja Morant, and I know he's a little bit crazy. I know he's a little bit reckless, but I also believe in Pat Riley and the Heat culture. And I think it's clear that he wants to be here. it's clear that he does not want to be in Memphis anymore. And I think the season that he set out last year, just playing 20 games with that, quote unquote elbow injury, is going to allow him to come back to the NBA recharged and looking for vengeance. He's still 26 years old. Let's keep that in mind. He's 26 years old. So you still got a good 5-year window of greatness. And at one point, he was one of the top 3 players in the NBA.
All right, Omar, we're going to take a pause. We got to get back into this Dolphins schedule here, and the rest of the NFL, their schedule has come out. So a very busy day. It really is remarkable, Omar. It is truly remarkable that the NFL can dominate a night on TV and social media in the middle
NBA
of
didn't
May.
even want to put any games on the day.
The NBA goes, we're not even gonna try. We're not gonna mess with you guys here. And it was probably a good move because those schedule release videos were the talk of the town
man.
last night. We'll talk about it when we come back on QAM.